Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Elizabeth Frizey. I'm a librarian here at JCL, and I'm a member of the Career and Finance Department. And we are here tonight for Taking the Mystery Out of Retirement Planning. Our presenters tonight are Grace Williams and Sarah Waters. They've kindly been here to present to us on retirement from the Department of Labor. I'm going to hand it over to them, but before I do that, just as a reminder, printed copies of the materials are available at the Central Resource Library. If you didn't want to print them out yourself, that's on our 87th Street location. There will also be a recording of the presentation posted on our personal finance online programs archive. Just give us a day or two for that to happen. We just got to do the little tech magic behind the scenes, and then we'll post it. So if you have questions tonight, just pop them in the chat. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Sarah and Grace, and they will take good care of us.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so can everyone hear me okay? If you can do like a little thumbs up or something, that would be helpful. Or wonderful. Okay, perfect. All right, so just a little bit about Grace and I. So Grace and I are both benefits advisors, and we work with the U.S. Department of Labor, the Employee Benefit Security Administration. The Employee Benefit Security Administration enforces Title I of ERISA, and ERISA stands for the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. And that act, it is essentially going to set the minimum standards for both retirement and health and welfare plans, standards that they have to meet, like the bare minimum standards. But today, we are going to be talking about taking the mystery out of retirement planning. And really, this whole presentation, it's to get you thinking about retirement. And I guess ask yourself, how much retirement planning have you done? Do you have a full plan? Do you know what your expenses are going to be, or what your budget is? Have you not really thought about it? That's okay. That's perfectly okay. I don't know if I can do this. Well, I guess we can try it, but in the chat, can everyone put like a Y for yes or an N for no if you have like access to a 401k or a defined benefit plan?
And I do want to comment, Sarah. Hi, everybody. My name is Grace.
Yeah.
I do want to comment, Sarah. Just let me know. Let me know if I open up the chat. Probably everybody can see that. So I don't know if you maybe want to open up the chat on your end.
Yeah, you're perfectly fine. And I'm getting a lot of Y's for yeses. So that is wonderful, because that is going to play a factor, or that is going to be a factor in whether, well, actually later on, we'll get into that though. Okay, we can go on to the next slide. Okay, so taking the mystery out of retirement planning, as Elizabeth said earlier, there are going to be paper copies available of this pamphlet. They're great resources to use. If you don't want to use a paper copy, that's perfectly fine. You can actually access this on our website and download it. As it says, you can download the fully illustrated 62 pages. And a plus to downloading this or having... Is there a link to this copy? I don't think one that you can click on. After the presentation, I can show you how to access it if you would like. Would that be okay?
Yeah, and you might even also be able to, you would have to give us just a couple of moments. We can put a link. I can put a link for it inside of the chat.
Yeah.
And maybe we can do that maybe at the end. If that's okay with everybody, we'll put a link for it inside of the chat so you can click on it. And we can also send them to you guys for free. I'm sure Sarah was just about
to. Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. Yes, no, we're happy to send you. That's okay. We're happy to send you a copy. If you would like one, just let one of us know. We'll provide our information here as well before you leave. Also, just before I forget, online, there are worksheets that you can use and those are also going to help you plan for retirement. We are going to go over those worksheets in terms of using an example. So hopefully they'll make more sense when we go over them. All right, we can proceed to the next slide, please. Okay, so there are actually going to be 5 web sheets that you can use. So as you see, there's general information worksheet, pre-retirement, post-retirement, expenses, and then projections and results. So we'll stay with the first one. We'll stick with the first one, which is the general information worksheet. So the general information worksheet, this is just essentially general information about your current age, your expected years to retirement. The pre-retirement, that's going to tackle more things along the lines. Well, actually, I guess the second and third worksheet are going to tackle information along the lines of your expected assets and savings. So it'll have you put those in there individually. And then the fourth worksheet is where you're going to put your expenses in there. We are not going to go over every expense because it's a long list on the worksheet. So we're going to do a more a shorter version. And then lastly, the fifth worksheet, which is the projection and results of worksheets. This will actually compare your monthly retirement income with those expenses. And then what's nice is that once you begin entering the information onto the online worksheet, you can actually click register, and that will save your information. So if you don't finish everything today, if you do one worksheet one day, that's perfectly fine. You can come back and fill the rest out, but your information will be saved. Okay, so we can go to that next slide. Okay, so creating your account. So once you do hit that register button, it's going to lead you to create your own account. You will need to enter your own username and create your own password. Keep that password handy. Unfortunately, if you lose it, we don't have a way of helping you reset it. There's no hotline or anything that you can call. So write it down if you need to and keep it a secret. Okay, and then how long will you have access to your information? You can access this information for up to a year. But what's really nice is that, say it's 12 months, it's at the end of December and it's almost up, the year is almost up. Well, you can go back in and make updates, and then it's going to save it for another year and so on each time that you log in. All right, so we can go to the, perfect. All right, so once you do sign in and you'll need to create a username and a password, and then you're essentially really good to go. The information that will be asked, it's going to be saved in there. So like I said, you can come back and update it anytime. But when you're done for the day, you can just log out and call it good and come back maybe another day and enter the additional information. All right, so we are good for the next one. Okay, so this is the first worksheet. I apologize. I was trying to explain it earlier, but I realized that we're going to do that in individual PowerPoint presentations or slides. So for the general worksheets, it's going to allow you to enter an age between 50 and 70. And then your expected years of retirement is going to be the second box that you will fill in. So by default, this program, it assumes that you're going to live until 95. So 30 is just like the default number that's usually going to be put in there. So that'll automatically be there. And why 95? Well, people are living longer. And so it's better to be more prepared and make sure that you actually do have enough money for retirement versus running out when you're still retired. And then the age that you expect to collect Social Security. And then if you do have a fixed monthly pension benefit, you can also enter that in there. And if we go to the next slide, actually, that's going to be important too, because what I would suggest actually is contacting your local Social Security field office, because there will be a difference in collecting Social Security benefits at age 62, full retirement age, and I guess even if you defer it like until age 67, I think the benefit is higher. So check with your local Social Security field office for this question. And then if we go to the next slide, it's just going to take us back to the previous slide. So again, in this example, we're going to use a couple by the name of Mary and Bob, and they both plan to retire within the next 10 years. So that's what they put in. This program says they're going to live until they're 95, so it's 30 in bold letters. They do expect to get Social Security. And in this example, they're going to wait not until full retirement age, but until 66, 1 year past. And then at age 60, and then there is expected age to collect a fixed monthly pension benefit, and that's will be age 65. And then the last question, will you be eligible for Medicare? Usually at age 65, you can press yes or you can press no. What I do want to point out too is that if you are doing this as a couple, you're going to take the average of your ages when you fill this out. We still do recommend that if you do this as a couple, that you both still take the time to do it by yourself, because things happen, and if your spouse passes before you, the numbers could change. So that way you have an accurate projection if you do it based on your individual savings and income. Okay, so we can go to the next one. Okay, so the second worksheet is called the Pre-Retirement Assets and Saving Worksheet. So in this case, Mary and Bob, they have a rough estimate of 401k balance of $230,000, a monthly savings of $430. And what's nice about this is that the assumed rate of return, you can actually change it. You can have it be anywhere from 3 to 7%. It'll default at 5% if you don't select anything. Just keep that in mind. And then either Mary or Bob has an IRA. So there's $50,000 in an IRA. It's wonderful. And then a traditional IRA. The SEP IRA, and then a traditional IRA, which has $15,000 in it. And then again, more monthly savings of $100. So this will make more sense, I promise, on another screen. I promise. Okay, so we can go ahead. Perfect. So this is just going to actually have you continue. So in this example, market value of home, Mary and Bob went with 220,000. I do want you to know that keeping a house is a big asset, and try to be realistic about the value of your home when you do enter this value. These worksheets are actually going to assume that you're going to sell your home and use the assets at retirement. So if you don't plan on selling your home, be sure to put a 0 at market value of home, just so you know. And so in this particular example, their market value of home is $220,000. They have roughly $50,000 left to pay on their mortgage, and then their payment is $800 a month. And then going further down, they have a personal savings and investments of $10,000. This will calculate everything for you. So it's going to calculate the previous information we put in with like the 401ks and the IRAs, and it'll do a total amount for you. So that's nice. Okay, and we can go to the next page.
Next up, we have, are there any questions, by the way? Any questions in the chat, Sarah? I'm gonna make sure we're not overlooking anybody.
I don't see any. What I think would be really helpful is if we provide also a copy to the worksheets. That way people can go through them and see, look at it themselves, because this is just like an example we're using, but the worksheets really are helpful.
Yes. I would ask Sarah, you, while I start our the next portion, would you have the ability to visit our site and go to the link under retirement resources and see if you can find the link for it. And if you do, drop it in the chat. But I'll go ahead and keep us rolling here, okay?
Sounds good. Okay, I'm on it.
All right. So next up is this post-retirement savings worksheet. At the top of the sheet, you can add your expected monthly Social Security retirement benefits and any pension benefits. And when we say pension benefits, think of maybe what you may have earned or participated in with an employer, or if you were in a union and maybe they sponsored a pension benefit. So that's kind of where I would ask that your mind go when you hear add in any pension benefits that you're getting, right? So first, you'll fill in the box labeled expected monthly Social Security benefits. Hopefully you see that first line item there. For Mary and Bob, they're a married couple in that example, and so they added them together and put that there. So if you're doing this as an individual, put yourself. If you have a spouse or loved one and you try to calculate your finances together, then put whatever the expected monthly Social Security benefit would be for both of you. Okay. Let's see. Then we have next line item, just kind of giving an example, fixed monthly pension benefit. That fixed monthly pension benefit would, maybe come from an employer or a union. If where it says lump on the next line item, where it says lump sum pension benefit, you would enter there, let's say you got a 401k, maybe when you separated from your employer and you received some type of lump sum payment all at once, right? You would be able to enter that information there. Under that, the next few, there are various different types of retirement plans, right? We got 401ks, we have IRAs, both traditional, Roth, different things like that. You'll just want to plug in your numbers. Like Sarah said, you'll be able to plug in the numbers and it will calculate it for you. So really, if you can just gather data, or even if you can gather a really good guesstimate of the data and put it in, like Sarah said, you can go in, you can modify it, change the numbers, update the numbers. You really want this resource, this tool to use as something that's just help you get started. Sometimes people feel like they might be stuck. You're not stuck, not at all. You may not know a path forward or what the next step may look like, but you're not stuck. Sarah and I, as benefit advisors, assist people every day over the phone and in person with their various benefits to include retirement. And usually, or at least the experience that I've had, is that in most cases, people just kind of need somewhere to start or just an idea of what the next step might be. So that's really when you're plugging in your numbers. I don't want you to feel too stressed about it, or if you don't know an exact number, putting in a good estimate that will assist. Going to go on to the next one. Next, there is an expenses worksheet, okay? And what this really allows you to do is gives you a chance to look at your spending patterns, right? And your spending patterns may change over time between now and retirement. And they also will be impacted by inflation. Right now, the inflation rate for consumer prices in the US, if you look at a span of 62 years, or at least that's what we did, we went from 1960 through at least 2022, and the average inflation rate over that span of 62 years has been about 3.8% a year. Okay, so what that means is that back in 1960, if I have any 60 babies on the line with us, back in 1960, what cost $100 nowadays is going to cost about $1,003. That's a over 900% rise in cost. So you want to consider inflation when you're filling out your expenses worksheet. Okay. If you look at your, I know it's a few columns here. I just want to point a couple out. There's the current monthly expenses column. There's the monthly expenses column at retirement. And then there's the column that says adjusted for inflation to retirement. For your current monthly expenses, I would just suggest don't include one-time expenses, right? If let's say, it's you're celebrating your anniversary this month, and maybe you're going to spend just a couple of extra dollars to show a little extra love to your loved one. You would not include that in your monthly expenses because that's a one-time expense, right? Also, utilities. Utilities can be averaged over the course of a year. So I know some of us already have maybe with our utility companies, maybe like an average that you can see that you spend or even have set up that way in the future. When you're entering it on here, you can enter in a average for what, utilities or maintenance, things like that. In the second column where it says monthly expenses, you don't need to enter them all, right? This is just what you think might change, okay? Again, some people might think down the line, hey, maybe we'll want to sell our house. Maybe we'll want to, downsize. Your monthly mortgage or your monthly rent, um, your monthly shelter costs may look different than what it does right now, right? So you would want to enter in what you would assume it would be, what your desire might be. And again, I know inflation matters, costs are consistently going up. And I was talking to someone actually just last week, and they were describing that many years ago that they had purchased land, and the land was, I believe they said it was like $100. It may have been like $100. I think they said maybe it was something super cheap. Here's my point. All I know is that land, look, we know it's up 900%. So everything is going up. So while you're putting in what you assume your retirement spending may be or expenses may be, also assume, hey, it may go up over the years. That third column there, adjusted for inflation, it will adjust your inflation rates automatically, and it's going to use a 3.5 inflation growth rate, and it will calculate that for you. So you do not have to fill in that third column when you do these sheets. Again, these sheets are available in print. We can send the book to you for free. We can send you multiple books. If you want one, great. If you need 40, that's fine too. Please let us know. If you do it online, that's super easy also, because again, you can plug in these numbers and it'll calculate for you. Okay. All right. Let's talk about healthcare costs because it's a factor and it's real, right? We do have some useful information in the instructions for this worksheet to include things like Medicare Part B cost. Currently, Medicare Part B is about $165 per month for individuals. You might experience if you are already eligible for Medicare or you've already enrolled for Medicare and you have Part B, your Part B costs might be different depending on your individual circumstance, but for the most part, the average is about $165 per month. Then you'll want to also consider what your Part D, this would be your prescription drug coverage premiums would be per month. Many people opt to purchase supplemental health insurance in addition to Medicare. This worksheet does not automatically factor in supplemental medical coverage. So you'd want to add this cost or that type of cost inside of the second column when you're estimating Medigap expenses. And again, Sarah, if you could just keep me on my toes, just in case there's any questions or concerns in the chat or any hands go up, please let me know, okay, folks? All right. In this example that we were using with Mary and Bob are hoping that as they go into retirement, that they lower some of their expenses. So, for example, no more commuting back and forth to work, right? So you see the gas in the first column says $140, and then in the second column, under on that same line item as gas, you see $25, right? So there's the assumption that they won't be using as much in gas. I know for one, and I just felt like maybe it was just a small taste that I got to see of maybe what retirement might be like during the pandemic. You know, all of us had to stay inside more. I, for one, I was driving less, right? So my gas costs went down. I wish my insurance costs had went down too, but it didn't. But that's okay. But that would be another thing that, you know, as you go into go into retirement, just like your vehicle insurance costs more when we're younger, and I know that also depends on where we live and things like that. But the same impact as we mature and in our age, our insurance will reduce. Well, hopefully, if we have a decent driving record, your driving insurance will reduce. So again, it's about, you know, projecting. Here you see under gas, you see parking, right? When Bob and Mary were commuting, maybe they were paying for parking more often, and then on the column right beside it, you see it's down to zero. Vacations, you might vacation a little more when you are retired or going into retirement, right? And so what you spend now currently on travel and vacations for the year, that might, your average might actually increase. Eating out. I know on this one, on this particular spreadsheet, it gives an example under entertainment, eating out right below that says 150. And then into retirement, the assumption that Mary and Bob have is that they'll use less money. Great. I don't know if that'll be the case for all of us, but whatever your assumptions are as you go into retirement, again, this tool is meant to, yes, give you the ability to plug in some numbers and kind of have a visual of what it might look like, but it's also to get those wheels turning in your mind, right? Get you thinking um, outside of just your current circumstance and what you need to deal with right now in terms of cost, in terms of expenses, in terms of income, but for you to start thinking about projection. Hey, what might it look like in the future? And really, this can be the fun part. If I could use that term loosely, this might be the fun part, right? I see on here for hobbies, um, there is a $20 assumption currently right now. And then that amount actually is higher in the second column under the hobbies line item, 150, right? So what you do as you go into retirement may impact expenses or costs that you have. So consider that. It looks like they, Bob and Mary also plan to go to the movies a little more often. So again, um, consider your travel, your hobbies. Maybe if you have grandkids and or other loved ones, or maybe you want to support them. I know that I'm blessed in that I have two children. They're in sports. Well, their grandmother likes to contribute to that, and I am so grateful and thankful, right? Even if that's just a matter of showing up with snacks for the, you know, for the Saturday's game, or, you know, helping out with getting a jersey. You'll want to think about all of those things in your life that you can anticipate or potentially anticipate in your retired years. I believe during Sarah's slide, the projection or the assumption is that might live 30 years, or the assumption, you know, into retirement, 30 years, that's a lot going on, right? Sometimes folks are, we have folks, loved ones who are passing, folks are getting married even into their retiree years. And so there's a lot of projections you can use inside of this tool, and it can help give you at least a rough idea, of what to expect. On the worksheet called projections and results, it really just pulls everything together. The beginning of the booklet is called Taking the Mystery Out of Retirement. Well, the projections and results worksheet is the sheet that pulls everything together, right? You'll see your total projected income that you input. Okay. On here, the second column under value at retirement for 1 month, total projected income for Mary and Bob was just over $8,200. And then in the column right beside that, it says total value at retirement, just a bit over 1.5 million. Okay. Once you've gotten to this page, you can go back through your worksheets and see where you can save more, spend less, change the numbers. That's a part of it not being a mystery anymore, of saying, hey, not only am I plugging in some data of what's going on right now, what I would like it to look like in the future. When you get to this projections and results and you see what it is, you'll be able to go back and make adjustments and say, hey, maybe I want to change how much, might be going toward a hobby or various types of entertainment. Or, hey, maybe we don't have to downsize our home into retirement. Maybe we can continue to have, a larger home. Maybe we plan on, I don't personally plan on this, but some people plan on their adult children living with them, you know, into their prime mature years. I won't say that that's going to be the case for me, but some people do. So again, this projection and results worksheets gives you an opportunity to look at kind of a broad view of what data you put into it, and then it will give you a result of saying, hey, this is maybe what you can expect. That way, you have a good idea of what you can do. I know on my own, without seeing a visual, I've tried going back and maybe reducing my expenses. But if you don't have a visual to what your budget looks like, to what your expenses look like, to what your savings look like, most of us are not, walking around computers and we can just save data in our heads and pull it up at a whim, right? And quote it. Yes, I know this is my expense for the year. Most of us are not like that. And so being able to have a visual tool is so important and so useful so that you can make appropriate adjustments. We have to pivot in life, right? Let's say we're heading down a particular path or road and it might not be going the way we want it to go. Well, when you have a visual tool that you can access and modify, that allows for you to pivot and make those adjustments over the years, okay? Let's go to the next. Are we doing okay, Sarah? Any comments or questions you noticed? Uh-oh, I'm not on mute, am I? I'm not hearing anything.
We're good. Sorry.
Okay. All right. I'm just look.
I'll just keep my camera on and everything.
No. You don't have to. It's okay. No, I just wanted to make sure. I'm like, uh-oh, are folks with me? All right. So, the general information worksheet or page. I know Sarah touched on that. I wanted to just touch back on that. When I just made reference to the projection and results worksheet, okay? If you go back and you look at your general information page, you might need to make some adjustments, excuse me, here also. Expected years to retirement. People, like Sarah said, people are living longer, right? So some of us are deciding to work a little longer, right? It's not always age 65 or 66 or 67 when we might decide that we want to disengage from full-time workforce. It's getting more and more often where I'm talking to people in their 70, 72-ish, around that age of where they're saying, okay, I finally retired. Now I'm going to enroll maybe in Part B because I've had my employer health plan for these years or whatnot. So you'll want to go back to this page. And again, you can just make the appropriate changes so that um, it applies and it really works for you. Again, cutting expenses, whether they're big or small, those types of things help. Waiting to take Social Security, if you delay it, that can help also. Again, of course, you want to pay attention to what your expenses are, what your needs are for you and your family. But as you are building your retirement, know that making different changes along the way can help. And it doesn't always have to be a big change, right? You can make small changes, whether it's, maybe contributing another $5 or $10 to your retirement, to those individual retirement accounts, or to your 401ks. I know Sarah had asked before at the beginning if anyone was maybe, participating in their 401k, or if you're aware of it. Those employer sponsored retirement plans that will match you at any percent, please enroll if you have not already. Um, if you're a cards player or have been in the past, or maybe play various games, sometimes people would say when playing poker, don't leave your chips on the table. Well, if you have an employer plan, or your spouse has an employer 401k plan or retirement plan that matches any percent of contributions, hey, that's free money. That's should be or could be a no-brainer. If you have a different type of benefit, right? Well, maybe you have an individual retirement account, maybe through your bank or some other financial institution. Look at your current finances. See if, maybe one less meal eating out per pay period. Maybe you could use, use a couple extra dollars where you maybe would use on eating out, and maybe add that to your retirement contributions. Again, there's a lot of different steps you can take for this to work in your favor. And again, me and Sarah and the rest of our team are available to go over these different steps, this tool, the worksheets, the online, or utilizing it as an online tool or the paper tool. We can help with that. Again, you'll want to consider things like, when should you start collecting your retirement benefits? When do you want to start to withdraw? Not everyone does the same thing. There's days when I'm working and I'm like, you know what? I'm fed up. If I could retire at 55, I would. And then there's other days where I look at, my own personal family circumstance. I personally have young children. I have a spouse who also has retirement plans, right? Adding those things together, or just considering your full financial picture. This tool allows for you to see it visually, make adjustments, then you can make practical adjustments in your life, actual pivots in your life. And you can, on this tool, as you see here, you can update also any assumed rate of returns. And again, this allows for your projections or your results to kind of pop up and give you an idea. Again, the whole idea of this is for you to have a tool that is visual, that's practical, that you can use, and that it's also, you can also modify it. Again, like
May I
Sarah
add
said.
something?
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So earlier on this screen, when it was set to 10 years, when they planned on retiring within the next 10 years, additional monthly retirement savings needed before retirement, it was estimated to be $461, I believe. Going back 1 year or working extra 1 year, now it puts them at only needing $50 more. So that also decreased it as well, the amount that they need to save before retirement planning. So working just a little longer can drastically impact how much you will have at retirement. Just wanted to point that out.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right, Sarah. I did not go over that, but yes,
Mhm.
the projections worksheet here and the one that I had a few slides ago, yes, it shows the difference of dollar wise of what working just a little bit longer can do to help out.
Mhm.
Um, I wanted to mention on our next sheet, we have also a retirement toolkit. We can send this to you also completely complimentary, at no cost to you. And it really helps out again by giving you a resource um, and to remember that timing, while timing is everything, it's never too late. Yes, timing is everything, but it's never too late to begin steps to try to become prepared, looking at all of your expenses, all of your income. What does your health coverage look like? Also, we don't touch on this a whole lot during this presentation, but what your health looks like, right? Um, in the United States, typically what we put in our mouth, right? That's going to be our food, and also how we take care of our bodies are oftentimes a large expense that we all experience, right? So when we're considering next steps, what's the path forward look like? We'll want to keep, and we encourage you, keep all of that in mind, right? Decisions about your retirement, they're very personal. And yes, they do depend on a number of factors, right? Again, healthcare, income, expenses, things like that. It's best to be fully informed, well prepared, and to attempt to make your decisions uh, timely before you get into a place where you're, maybe of that age where you might have desired to be retired, but now you don't have that option. Maybe you need to work a little longer. Maybe you need to cut some expenses. And if that's the case, it's still okay. It's still okay, but you just need to start.
Mhm.
Just needs to start. Here is a chart that we have, just kind of giving some examples of some general timelines of what we see, at least me and Sarah, what we see maybe when speaking with people and when they're making certain considerations. Usually around the age 50. Usually around age 50, that's when you can start making what's called catch-up contributions, maybe to those 401k plans that you may have access to or other retirement accounts. You'll want to check your Social Security statement online every year to make sure that your earnings accuracy, meaning where you've worked, how long you've worked, make sure that's accurate. Because when you do get to the point where you're ready to apply for Social Security benefits, the credits that they look at, your years worked, they're going to look at, okay, how long you worked. So you want to make sure that your Social Security statement is accurate. Okay. If you have not logged on to mysocialsecurity.gov and created a My Social Security account, I encourage you, please jump on Social Security's website and do that, no matter your age. I know that I started to take a gander at mine. I want to say, about five or so more 10 years ago maybe, and I started paying attention, and I knew in my mind right there, because it gives you an estimated benefit of what your Social Security payment will be at certain ages. I knew then, oh no, 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 Grace, you're going to keep working. I'm going to keep working beyond 50, 55, 60. Um, at the age of 59 and a half, another somewhat pivotal time, There's no more tax penalties on early withdrawals. If you have an employer-sponsored retirement plan like a 401k, that early withdrawal penalty is removed. However, withdrawals still have their federal and state taxes that do apply. At the age of 62, currently, that's the earliest age to start to collect generally your Social Security retirement benefits before before full retirement age. That means your benefit will be reduced. Okay. To find out what your full retirement age is, you'll want to contact Social Security to find out. I feel like they keep inching up the age every couple of years.
I
Before
agree.
it was yes, it was like age 65. Now a lot of people that Sarah and I come in contact with, it's around like age 67. So to find out what
Mhm.
Social Security deems your full retirement age to be, you'll want to contact Social Security for that. At age 65, most are eligible for Medicare, right? Medicare Part A, Part B, and so on and so forth. Again, gauge your own situation. See when it might be appropriate for you to elect Part A and Part B. And at age somewhere right now between age 66, 67-ish, again, that's around full retirement age. If you delay when you start to collect your Social Security income, that usually increases what your monthly benefit is going to be. Okay. And then there's another pivotal age, 70 and a half. I know during the pandemic, there were some adjustments, some flexibilities added to that because of the CARES Act. But typically at age 70 and a half, you have to start taking what's called minimum withdrawals from your retirement account. Otherwise, you might be charged a heavy penalty for not starting to draw out those benefits. So, again, all of this is for you to consider what your situation is. Everything from what your assets are, right? That might be your home or those retirement accounts that you may have already been participating in that's built up, that's great. And you'll want to also consider your liabilities, okay? Those are going to be the things that take money from you also, right? It doesn't grow in value. It just, so your home, we're going to put that depending on your situation, we'll sometimes we can consider that to be an asset. Sometimes it's considered to be, just a liability. But those other things, you want to consider those expenses as you embark on starting to prepare for your retirement. Me and Sarah know that this presentation is brief, right? It is short, to the point, and letting you know, hey, there's a free resource out there for you, but this is not enough for you to actually get the ball rolling and started. So we are also available for you to talk to. On the screen, there is our toll-free number, 866-444-3272. And we are a small group that supports a 10 and a half state region, actually. So we're a part of a small team. It's about 10 benefit advisors. Sarah is the only Sarah on the team, and I am the only Grace on the team. So if you do call and you want to speak with one of us directly, please feel free. Any of our teammates will be able to assist you also. If you would like publications to be mailed to you, we're happy to do that. That is free also. Or if you want to utilize the online version, it's excellent. Again, decisions about your retirement, they're very personal, and it depends on, like I said, a number of factors. Your retirement decision and process is not going to look the same as your neighbors. It's not going to look the same as sometimes even your spouses, right? My spouse is 4 years older than me, so um, he has some different ideas of when he's going to retire, and if the age gap is even larger, there might be some different ideas about retirement. So again, this tool is really made available for you to really evaluate your own circumstance, allow for you to have a good visual of it, allow for you to make some modifications, and then go back again and check it out. Do we have any questions? Or Sarah, if there's anything you think that I could have included?
No, I think you did an excellent job. I just think that I think this presentation is really important. Well, the publication and the worksheets, because we don't talk about retirement enough. And people usually call us because they don't know what to do or how to apply for their retirement benefit. And that's what we're here for. So we're here to help you. And we're free. We're paid by tax dollars. So use your tax dollars and chat with us.
Yes, yes. Are there any questions or concerns? All right. Well, we don't want to belabor. We know everyone's evening is precious with time. So if there are any follow-up questions or concerns, I'm actually going to drop my email in the chat. Sarah, if you could also drop your email in the chat.
Everyone, I apologize.
Or
My
your
maiden
phone
name
number.
is still on my email. So if you see this crazy last name, that's why. So I apologize. Just a couple letters longer.
Absolutely. Yes, Susan. And we want to make ourselves available to you. We also, Sarah and I also, as we work here, we also have, yes, we have resources, but we also receive lots of training and updates about what's going on. I guess you could say in the retirement world or sector, we talk about a lot, even though neither Sarah or I are old enough to retire. I really feel like we're getting a good head start because it's the space that we're already in. And we talk to people, like Sarah said, every single day that usually are already in the circumstance of, we get the call, oh, I'm retiring next month, or, or I retired last year, or, whatever the case. And so sometimes we're trying to help them pick up the pieces or, plug in what should be. So again, it's never too late. Timing is everything, but it's never too late. So please get started wherever you are. And I'll say thank you so much. Thank you also for the public library, the public library, for supporting us and allowing us to join on here. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. We appreciate your support.
My
Yes, thank
pleasure.
you.
And thank you for coming and talking to us. And as a reminder, everybody, you can get those printouts at the Central Resource Library, and the recording will be online in just a couple of days. If you have trouble finding that, just give us a call or stop at any of our locations and ask at the service desk.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Good night.